All right, students, let's take some of the algebra that we've learned and apply it to a geometry problem. We're looking at the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem only works on right triangles. A right triangle is any triangle that has a 90-degree angle in it, like this one does. As soon as there's a 90-degree angle, then we name the three sides of the right triangle. The two sides that make the 90-degree angle are each called legs. The side that is opposite from the right angle is called the hypotenuse. The Pythagorean theorem says that there's a relationship between the legs and the hypotenuse of a right triangle. The sum of the squares of the legs is equal to the square of the hypotenuse, more usually known as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Let's see how this works. The most common use of the Pythagorean theorem is to find the missing side of a right triangle. If you know two sides, we can find the missing side by using the Pythagorean theorem. Our job, find the unknown length in the right triangle, round your answer to the nearest thousandth. Always label your answers. As soon as I see a right triangle and I'm looking at the sides, I'm thinking a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now remember, the c must be the hypotenuse. That is the side that is across from the right angle. Here's the right angle. Across from the right angle is missing, so we'll call it x. The other two sides are 6 and 12, and they can go in whatever order you like for a and b. Here's my a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now 6 times 6, that's 36. 12 squared is 144. These are like terms, so I can add them. If I add 36 to 144, I get 180. Now, in order to find the missing side, I must know what x is, not x squared. In order to find x, I take the square root of both sides of this equation, because the square root and the square cancel each other out, and the square root of 180, the square root of 180 is 13.41640. Now remember, my final answer should be rounded to the nearest thousandth. 1,000 has 3 zeros in it, that's 3 place values. The next place value out is small, so that stays a 6. That's 13.416. Now label your answer. This was in inches, and this was in inches. So the missing side was 13.416 inches. Got it. Let's make sure it looks right. If this side was 6 inches, and this side is 12 inches, could the longest side of the triangle be 13.5 inches? 13.416, that certainly makes sense with that picture. Let's try that again. Find the unknown length here, round the answer to the nearest thousandth, label your answer. It's a right triangle, so I'm thinking a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Let's plug in. From the right angle, go to the opposite side. That's the hypotenuse. It's missing, and the hypotenuse must be c. The legs, 12 and 9, can go in whatever order you like. There's 12 squared, there's 9 squared. Here's my a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 12 squared, 12 times 12, is 144. 9 squared, 9 times 9, that's 81. Add 144 plus 81. 144 plus 81 is 225. Finally, we get the final answer by taking the square root. The square root of 225 is exactly 15. No rounding off in this problem. Let's make sure 15 looks right with the picture. If the legs are 9 and 12, could the hypotenuse be 15? The hypotenuse will always be the longest side of the triangle. So 15 makes sense because it's a little longer than either 12 or 9. Don't forget to label your answer. This was 12 centimeters, 9 centimeters. This is 15 centimeters. This is the way I want you to show your work. Write down the Pythagorean theorem, do your computation, final answer, and label. Now, number 3 is just slightly different. Here's what's different about it. The c in the Pythagorean theorem must be the hypotenuse. In the first 2 problems that we did, the hypotenuse was what was missing. But this time, if I start at the right angle and go to the opposite side, the hypotenuse is 13. Put 13 there. What's missing is one of the legs. I have a missing leg and a leg of 12. I have a missing leg and a leg of 12. 13 squared, 13 times 13 is 169. 12 times 12, 144. Copy the x squared. This time I have numbers on either side of the equal sign. If I want to get x by itself, I should get rid of that 144. The inverse of addition is subtraction. (144 minus 144 is 0. Copy the x squared. 169 minus 144 is 25. Finally, we get the final answer by taking the square root. And the square root of 25 is 5. Let's take 5 back to the picture. If the hypotenuse was 13 and this side was 12, could the short side be 5? That looks reasonable. The problem was all in feet. Label that answer. Perfect. When you do your homework, no need to draw the picture. The picture is already drawn for you in the book. You start with the Pythagorean theorem, fill in your numbers, solve your equation, label your answer. Let's try one more. Here's the right angle. The opposite side is 8. The opposite side is the hypotenuse. That must be C. My legs are 6 and unknown. Let one of them be unknown. Let the other one be 6. These are interchangeable. Doesn't matter which is which. 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36. Inverse of addition is subtraction. I need 64 minus 36. Now take the square root. The square root of 28 is 5.29150. Rounded to the nearest thousandth. That's 1, 2, 3 place values. Check here. If that's 5 or above, then that rounds up to a 2. Finally, label the answer. This problem was in miles, so that answer should be in miles. All right, your turn. Go work some homework problems. I'll see you later on today.